Now, okay.
Okay, so we'll be proceeding with today's session, that is bioinformatics applications, tools, and the career opportunities. We had gone through the module of bioinformatics in week 2, and we had discussed about the various methods that comes under bioinformatics, about various tools, and what about the different applications of bioinformatics. Okay, so this is a kind of, as I was telling you, this is a kind of a wrap-up session for all these discussions we had earlier, and I'll be telling you what kind of career opportunities you will have if you go with the course of bioinformatics in future. Okay, so we had discussed about who gave the term bioinformatics. We had talked about that she is the lady, Pauline, who was working on the informatic processes in the biotic systems. Okay, and she was the one who gave the term for this bioinformatics. Okay, and we had discussed about what is bioinformatics all about. So bioinformatics is the term that we use with for the study of biological information, where we are using various computational techniques. Okay, and we were talking about the various branches that are helping to study this biological information, whether it was biology, mathematics, computer sciences, physics, chemistry. Okay, and we were studying this bioinformatics, including various other branches as well, like genomics, proteomics, okay, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then comes the processes where we were studying methods under pharmacology, pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics. Okay, so all this was included under bioinformatics, and all these branches somehow help with the study of this biological information. Okay, and I had talked about how bioinformatics came. So it was like back in 1965, the first database, it was being developed, and Margaret Ehoff was the one said to be the mother and father of both bioinformatics. And because the first database that was being developed, the atlas of protein sequence and structure, was given by this person, and it was back in 1965. Then what happened after that, other databases, they were being developed, like for example the tertiary database, this Brookhaven National Lab developed the database Protein Data Bank, and it was containing all the three-dimensional structures for proteins. And then came the algorithms like Needleman-Wunsch came, and that is used for going with the search for similarity. Protein structure algorithm came, Chow-Fasman algorithm, used to go for the prediction of the secondary structure of proteins. Okay, BLAST came, FASTA came, they are also used for the similarity searching. Okay, so all this was the initial works for bioinformatics, and I discussed about how bioinformatics is divided into the two modules. So basically, we are very much aware that if we talk about life, we talk about cells, we talk about the genetic material, and we are very much aware that in case of eukaryotes, we'll talk about DNA. So if we are talking about DNA, we'll talk about central dogma, how DNA is being replicated, it is converted into RNA, and then finally protein is being produced following transcription as well as translation. Okay, so the basic concern of bioinformatics will basically revolve across these two molecules, the DNA as well as the proteins. Okay, but if we talk about how we go with the study of bioinformatics is, so whenever you go with the study of bioinformatics, basically there are two things, there are two subfields. We go with the study of the biological databases, because large amount of data is being stored in these biological databases, and the researchers, they actually extract information that is relevant for their research purpose. Okay, and the other thing is how to use the computational tools. So developing these computational tools and using the right tools for your application is the purpose of bioinformatics. Okay, and obviously using these databases and using these computational tools in order to extract all the useful information, mine the fruitful information from for with respect to the living systems, is under bioinformatics, where the applications is basically categorized into these three classes: sequence analysis, structure analysis, and the function analysis. Okay, so sequence analysis, where we are just comparing the genomes, and we are going with the study of phylogenetic analysis. With the structure analysis, we are going with the prediction of the structure of gene as well as protein. Okay, and function analysis will help you to understand how these genes are connected to each other, the proteins are connected to each other, going with the study of various pathways, and with the study of expression analysis. Okay, so this is all about how bioinformatics is divided into various modules and what about the applications. There are certain other applications because bioinformatics is a branch that is connected to all these subfields. Okay, so biotechnology is using the applications of bioinformatics, the microbial genome application. When you want to go with the study of these genomes, then bioinformatics is playing a major role to study this. Okay, in molecular medicine, personalized medicine, preventive medicine. So when we are talking with the term of medicine, so we have talked about the drug development and drug designing processes. So in silico drug designing is a major concern, and basically bioinformatics is playing a major role in this. And whenever we are talking about the key term of medicine or pharmaceuticals, so you need to understand that bioinformatics is there playing a role in the process. Okay, so gene therapy, development of a drug, antibiotic resistance, going with the construction of any evolutionary tree. Okay, and going with the discussion on other things. It can be energy, it can be the improvement of crop, forensic, the bioweapons. So all this is under bioinformatics. Either we are going with the discussion of any kind of databases, what amount of data we have stored for all these years. Okay, with the discussion of various research articles, okay, and research data, and with the discussion of various computational tools, or going with the analysis of data. Okay, so data analysis is also a part of bioinformatics only if you're going with statistical analysis. Okay, so all this is about bioinformatics. I had talked much in detail about how we go with the storage of data, because when bioinformatics it came into existence, so the first thing was just because the data, the biological data was so vast, so it was very difficult for the researchers to go with the storage. Okay, so then they thought about creating the databases. So in order to store the data, as well as whenever we require, we can just retrieve the data, we can extract the useful data, and we can use it for any of our applications. Okay, so creating the database is one of the most important application of bioinformatics, and there are these different types of biological databases. We can talk about the sequence databases, structure is there, genome, and the specialized ones. Okay, so nucleotide databases, there's GenBank, DDBJ, EMBL, and the protein categories are there, talking about the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary structures of proteins. Then genome databases like DBSD, Ensemble, Tiger, these are the famous ones which are concerned with the genome sequences. Okay, and the specialized ones like KEGG, Bind, Array, Express, these are when we talk besides the sequence, beside the structure of nucleotide and protein sequences. And there are a lot many biological databases, and all these databases, they are storing information, and this is helping a lot for going with different kinds of analysis around the world. Okay, so we have discussed about this gene bank, EMBL, DDBJ. We have talked about what kind of information they are actually containing and what kind of formats we can extract the information from these databases. Okay, so we had talked about those flat files, the text file formats, but our major concern was to extract the information that was in the faster file format, because whenever we were going with any kind of analysis, so what we needed was that format, the faster file format, that was representing a header line with the brief information about the sequence, and from the second line onwards we were having the nucleotide sequence in the codes of ATGC. Okay, and on the other hand, we had also discussed about protein databases, because when we go with the study of biological information, so moreover we go with some kind of study of any gene or any kind of protein. Okay, so we need to understand, because we have gone through the structure study of the proteins, so we need to understand that there are different databases to study the structure of these proteins. Okay, so there are primary type of databases, there are secondary type of databases, and there are tertiary type of databases, because we need to understand whenever we want to go for any specific kind of research, so we will extract information that is relevant to our research, based on if we want to extract only the primary sequences or related information, if we want to go with the search where we want to understand how these sequences are connected and they are having certain similar regions or the motif regions, so we can go with the secondary databases like these ProSite, Profiles, Print, PFAMs, and blocks, and the tertiary databases, because protein is there in nature in its three-dimensional structure, structure. So PDB is the most famous one, the protein data bank that helps us to go with the study of these tertiary structures. Okay, SCOPE and CAN, they are also helpful. They are also giving this detailed information about the tertiary structure of proteins. Okay, and when I had talked about the prediction of proteins, so I was talking about that, for example, if I am having a primary protein sequence, which I had helped you to extract it from UniProt database. So PIR, MIPS, TRA, NRL, 3D are also there, but this UniProt is the most commonly used primary protein sequence database. And from here, we can just extract the faster sequences and go with the prediction of secondary structure or the tertiary structure studies. Okay, so secondary structure prediction of proteins, that is basically used for when we want to go with the study of how many helices, sheets, or coils are there, and tertiary will help us to just visualize the structure in 3D. These were the other databases which we have discussed, and the metabolic pathway databases, organism specific, gene specific, RNA sequence databases, structure databases. Okay, all these databases like KEGG we have talked, then TER is there, Tiger is there, Ensemble is there. Okay, besides these protein databases, we are having OMIM, Gene Ontology, Gene Expression Omnibus, the microarray database, Stanford microarray database. Okay, so these databases are giving you information to go for your research. Okay. Then the second application of bioinformatics was when we want to go with the similarity search, we want to study about similarity, because for example, you have gone with any kind of research and you have just ended up with a sequence which you are not aware that which family does it belong. Okay, it can be a reason that you are aware that this is a DNA sequence or it is a protein sequence, but if you want to go with further discussion, further information related to that gene or that protein, then you can go with the study of its similarity. Okay, so you can go with the process of alignment. We had talked about the process of alignment, that we need to go with the discussion of pairwise sequence alignment or multiple sequence alignment. So pairwise will help you to understand the information with respect to that query sequence, that sequence for which you have no information, for example, a protein sequence. So you can align it with the sequences which are available in the databases. Okay, so we are having the sequences in the databases, and we can just take a query sequence and just align it with all the sequences there in the database and extract the information that is it there related with any of the sequences or showing some kind of percentage of similarity. So if it is like, if it is showing some kind of percentage similarity, then we can conclude that possibly it is from the same family, and just because of mutational changes, variations, it had led to this kind of dissimilarity or this percentage of variation. Okay, so all this was studied under the pairwise type of alignment, and we had gone with the three methods of alignment. Like the first method was the dot plot. This was the mostly conventional method, and people recently people, they are not going with this particular methodology, and the two famous ones are the heuristic approach and the dynamic programming approach. Okay, and well, mostly heuristic is being preferred, but dynamic is somehow a part of heuristic approach only. Okay, and these coding matrices, PAM and Blossom, they are being preferred. And we had talked about that the alignment is done by pairwise, talking about the two sequences, and when more than two sequences, then it is multiple alignment. Searching out only the local regions is local alignment, and searching for going with the end-to-end alignment is said to be the global alignment. So all these tools you can see on this particular page. There is BLAST, there is FASTA, Clustal W, Clustal Omega, L-Align, K-Align, Emboss, T-Coffee, Muscle, Multalign, MAFT. All these tools, they're helping you to search for similarity for your query sequence, and you can go for both these types. You can use BLAST for your pairwise alignment. You can use T-Coffee for your multiple sequence alignment. Okay, so The purpose for pairwise alignment is just to go for the similarity searching, and this is one of the steps when we go for the structure prediction of proteins, okay, for the 3D structure prediction of proteins. But on the other hand, if you want to go with the multiple sequence alignment, then T coffee, it is one of the famous tools. You can use muscle or this cluster W, and the purpose of multiple sequence alignment is moreover to go with the study of evolutionary tree, when you want to understand if the possible number of sequences, they are somehow related to each other, possibly they had the common ancestor or they are related to each other. So this information you will get when you go with the process of multiple sequence alignment. Okay, so we had gone with the study of few of the tools on this page, and BLAST, you have seen that there are various versions of BLAST program. You are having BLAST P, BLAST N, T, BLAST X. Okay, so all these versions are there, and you can use these versions to go with the study of various input sequences. You can study about the similarity searching with respect to nucleotide sequences, with respect to protein sequences, or sequences which are the translated versions of your nucleotides. Okay, so yeah, further, the versions are here like BLAST P, BLAST N, BLAST X, T BLAST N, the T BLAST X, PSI BLAST, PHI BLAST. Okay, so all this was being covered. The tool is there available at the NCBI. Okay, you can go through the tool. We have gone through the tool earlier, and we can go it again after this session. And FASTER is also one of the famous tools. Besides both these tools, basically BLAST is used comparatively at a higher rate. If we talk about faster, the reason is that the amount of speed that BLAST goes with, or the production of the results, is comparatively higher if we compare it with faster. So BLAST is said to be working faster than faster. But if you talk about the accuracy of results, then we can definitely say that the results which faster are producing are far more better accurate if we compare it with BLAST. Okay, so the third application which we had talked about was, so we discussed about the databases, we had talked about the alignment, this similarity searching thing, and then the evolutionary tree that I was talking about, that the multiple sequence alignment thing, because in order to conclude that how the sequences, how the species, they are related to each other, we need to go with the production of these evolutionary trees, or the phylogenetic analysis comes under the branch of phylogeny. Okay, so there were two methods basically: distance based, character based. We talked about UPGMA, NJ method, maximum parsimony, and maximum likelihood method. Okay, so all these methods, they were helping for the production of a phylogenetic tree, creating the dendrograms, the cladograms, and just analyzing the different species, the different sequences, and what kind of information they are containing, what similar information they are containing, and somehow they are connected to each other with a common ancestry or not. So all this was discussed under the phylogenetics, and the various tools which help to go with the study of this phylogenetic analysis, that includes PhyloDraw, PhyLip, TreeView. Okay, so you can use these tools. These tools are basically helpful to create these phylogenetic trees. We have gone through one of the multiple sequence alignment tool, that was Cluster W, and you must have seen that whenever we go with the study of these results of Cluster W, then we can see that there is this phylogenetic tree being constructed for all the sequences which we have tried to align. So as a result, you will get a dendrogram for the sequences that are given as an input. Okay, besides this, you can just go for all these different tools. The PhyloDraw and PhyLip, they are usually used for the construction of this tree only. A tree view is a kind of a visualization tree tool. So when I'm going with the process of cluster W using my multiple sequence alignment method, okay, so I will get a result, and the result will be in the form of a dendrogram. So if I will just download it, and if I will try to just open it and try to visualize it, so it won't be visualize. So the reason is that because we are not having any visualization tool on our system or our desktops or our laptops, so we need to have a visualization tool for that. So TreeView is really helpful for this. We can go with the prediction or the visualization of certain evolutionary trees by using this software or the tool. Okay, so besides this, we had also talked about the structures of proteins. So talking about the protein structure, with the overview of biomolecules, we have talked about what are proteins, what are the different levels of proteins. Okay, what is the major components of a protein. So we talked about amino acids, how these amino acids, they are connected to each other by the help of the peptide linkage. Okay, and then we talked about the four levels of protein structures. Okay, the primary, the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Okay, so when we go with the study of any protein structure, so necessarily we go with the study of these four levels. It is although that protein is there in nature, and it is a kind of a complex structure present in its three-dimensional structure, where the atoms, they are connected to each other. One amino acid is connected to the other by the help of peptide linkage, and one molecule is connected to the other molecule, and different interactive forces, they are there involved, whether it is the van der Waals interaction, hydrogen bonding, okay, and other ionic interactions. So this is there, the tertiary structure is there, and with the protein data bank, you can search out for different proteins for the tertiary structures in this database. But if you want to just understand what about the sequence of the amino acids by which this protein is being prepared, so the primary sequence databases, they help. So when we go with the primary level of protein structure studies, then we go with the sequence of that particular protein chain. Okay, and when we go with the secondary structure, then we need to understand that the structure of protein is there in its different form. So it will be going with the formation of these helices or these sheets. Okay, or possibly the turns or coils. So this is what you can see if you talk about the protein structures. Okay, so primary is there, the secondary is there, tertiary is there, and quaternary will help when we talk about multiple units of our proteins. So when we go with prediction of protein structures, for example, if we have gone with some kind of research, we have gone with a novel protein sequence, a primary sequence. Okay, so we are not aware that how this looks in its three-dimensional structure. Okay, so first thing we can do is we can go with the study of its secondary structure. So these are the methods. We can go with the method called Chow-Fasman, or the Gore method, or artificial neural network, or the hidden Markov model, nearest neighbor, SOPMA. All these methods, they are used for the prediction of the secondary structure of our protein. And basically, with the study of the secondary structure of proteins, we have to understand that there are helices, sheets, and coils. So the coils are turns. So these tools will help you to give just the information that how the amino acids, they are connected to these structures. So which amino acid is involved in helix, or which one is involved in sheet, or which one is involved in coil. This is the only information which you will get when you go with the secondary structure prediction tools. Okay, the list of tools is there at the right hand side. APSSP, say Chow Fasman based, the Gore method based tool, SOPMA, GBRED, HHBRED, CyBRED. Okay, so all these are helping for the prediction of your protein structure, and wherever you'll find the sequence. So beside just below the sequence, you will get those letters like H representing that this is participating in the production of helix. Then sheet, for sheet you'll get S, and for coils you'll get C. Okay, so all these methods, they had been discussed in previous sessions. Talking about the tertiary structure, because our main concern is to go with the study of proteins in their tertiary forms. So we will definitely get the tertiary structures for all those proteins for which the work had been done. All the known proteins around the world, the information is there in a protein data bank database. But there are proteins, possibly you're going with the research any novel protein, or you had just constructed or developed a new protein. It can be a possibility for you have just developed a new protein just going with any kind of drug designing process or other such kind of research. Okay, so for that you will just think about going with the prediction or the tertiary structure prediction, developing the 3D structure. So you can go with the virtual study, with the in silico study, with the use of bioinformatics tools. You can go with the tertiary structure construction, ab initio homology modeling, threading, or the fold recognition methods. These are the common methods. We had discussed about the three methods. Ab initio is using the supercomputers. Homology modeling is based on the comparative analysis, the study where we are aligning the sequences initially and going with the prediction based on the template sequence. And threading is definitely going when we are going with the structure prediction based on the segment analysis. Okay, so all these methods are used, and based on these methods we have a list of tools. Okay, all those tools which I am mentioning, these are just 1% of the tools. Okay, 1% is also more I am talking about. There are lot many number of tools around the world, and you can use any of them, but the most famous ones I'm just telling you. Okay, so with the tertiary structure prediction tool, Swiss model, Swiss PDB viewer, modeler, Infold, Raptor X, EasyPred 3D, Fiery, and the version 2, and Robita, Bhagirath H. These are the famous ones. You can use either of these to go with prediction of your primary protein sequence, and you can convert it into 3D structure. Okay, I had demonstrated you the Swiss model, how it works, and we can proceed with any of the other tools maybe in today's session after this session. Okay, and then also because just like the dendrogram, if you want to go with the study of a dendrogram, we want to visualize how this dendrogram looks, so we need to have a visualization tool. So TreeView helps us to go with the visualization of any phylogenetic tree. But what about the visualization of any protein structure? So I told you, if we have tried to download the structure of proteins from PDB, so whenever we just download the structure, we try to visualize it on our laptops. So it will definitely not, you cannot view that structure. Okay. So the reason is that if you're not having any visualization software or tool, then you can't just open the structure in its 3D appearance. So you need to have one of these tools. Rasmol, I have demonstrated Rasmol to you. PyMol, JMol, Chimera, DeepView, all these tools, they are helpful to go with the study of the visualization tools. Okay, so whenever you want to go with research with respect to proteins, then first thing you need to do is you just go with the installation of any of these programs. Then you need to proceed with your future work. Okay, so besides proteins, besides going with the similarity searching or just studying the databases, creating, storing, retrieving the information, and going with the analysis, prediction of proteins, whether it's secondary or tertiary. The other thing is when we talk about gene prediction, we have just gone possibly with any gene, and we are not able to understand that what information this gene is having. So we can just go proceed with the study of gene prediction. So there are a list of tools: GeneScan, GeneMark, Limmer, ORF Find, and NipCutter, Murmur, Blast2, Primer Blast. So all these will help you to go with the annotation of your gene. They will definitely give you a detailed information for your gene, whichever gene you are trying to give it as an input. Okay, whether it is GeneScan or GeneMark or Glimmer, they are working both for prokaryotes and for eukaryotes. Okay, ORF Finder will give you the information about the open reading frames, because possibly because if we are talking about gene and we are talking about the DNA, because DNA is having the two strands. So based on that, you will get the open reading frames for the positive strand and the parallel strand, that is the negative strand, reading the frames from +1, +2, +3, and -1, -2, -3. Okay, so NetCutter will help you to go with the production of a restriction map. You will get to know that what are the sites where these restriction enzymes can cut your gene, can cut your nucleotide. Okay, Murmur is also helpful for the alignment thing only, and Blast too, definitely. Like we have talked about Blast, and in Blast, so what we have discussed is you have gone through a practical session for Blast. So in that practical session, what you were doing was you were actually taking a primary sequence, a query sequence, and you were just pasting it in the text box, and you were comparing it with the sequences which are there in the database. But in case of BLAST 2, what you need to do is you will have two sequences. One will be a sequence for which you want to understand the information, that what conclusions you want to extract for that particular query sequence, and the other sequence will be known to you. So in this BLAST 2 tool, you will again compare two sequences, but both will be there available to you. Okay. In case of primer BLAST, so if you want to go with the production for the PCR technology, you want to make clones, or you want to just make copies of your DNA, so you can use this primer blast. It will help you to produce the primers, the possible primers for your DNA strand. And by using those primers, you can just develop the primers, and you can prepare your parallel strands and go for the process of PCR. Okay, so all these tools, they are used for genome annotation analysis. Okay, then the other application of bioinformatics is the developing drugs. So bioinformatics, it plays an important role when we talk about the in silico drug designing, or the computer aided drug design, where we talk about how we can develop drugs. I had talked about the whole process of drug development. So how the drug was discovered, what about the stages of drug development, when we have just talked about how the lead compound they are being selected, how the library is being created, what is a ligand, and how we go with the search of the receptor molecules for our ligand. So how these ligands, they go and bind at the receptor site. Okay, so the whole process where it is the selection of the lead compounds, because these lead compounds, they are the suitable compounds which we consider are having the suitable properties, and these properties are actually being helpful for the treatment of the disease. So with the selection of the lead compound, there bioinformatics plays a role, studying all the properties, where we can just study the various properties, starting with the oral bioavailability or lipophilicity, or the with respect to atoms, when we are talking about the ionic interactions or the electronic properties. Okay, TARP descriptors, there are various descriptors we can just study with respect to the chemical structure of our molecule, which we consider to be the probable drug. So while developing the drugs, the selection of lead compound is a task where bioinformatics plays a role. Then when we go with the study of the structure activity, okay, so the study of the structure and how it is connected to the activity, developing those QSAR models, quantitative structure activity model, or the QSAR models, quantitative structure property models. Okay, so these relationship models between structure and activity, they are once again, we can go with the study of drugs through these models, that comes under this bioinformatics applications only. And then while going with the development of a drug, we can go with the study of pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic properties, going with the study of ADMET properties, talking about absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity. But then we need to understand that the chemical compound should have a defined structure, and the structure is said to be, it is said to be a ligand structure, and this ligand will go and bind at the receptor site, the site at the target, at the disease site, where a molecule will go and bind. After binding, will be activated and start its action. So to study this interaction, to study the structure of a receptor, to study the structure of ligand, and to study the interaction, that how receptor and ligand, they are binding to each other and developing an interaction which is a minimum energy and stable conformation interaction. So all this comes under bioinformatics. So if you want to go with the prediction of the structure or the study of the structure of receptors, and definitely I talked about the different types of biomolecules. So the most probably used receptor molecule is protein, and we use proteins, so we can either go with the PDB database and extract out the structures of these protein receptors, or we can also go with the in silico designing for these protein structures. So both are the ways we can go with. And the other thing was the ligand structure. Okay, so because we are preparing this drug, we have taken up a lead compound, a suitable lead compound, so we need to design a structure, a 3D structure, in such a manner that this is helpful for the process of prediction. Okay, so in a manner that this ligand will bind to the receptor site just like the lock and key. Okay, and with this, the computer aided drug designing, structure based and ligand based drug designing methods we discussed. And with the structure based or ligand based drug designing, what we were trying to do was we were trying to either go with the prediction of the structure of the receptor, or we were going with the prediction of ligand structure and prior to the structure of our receptor molecule. And based on this, we were trying to find a suitable interaction going with the docking study and molecular modeling. And this was all about where we can use bioinformatics to go with the study of our drugs. So bioinformatics definitely plays a major role when we talk about the pharmaceutical companies, where we're going the discussion on the development of a drug, because computer aided drug designing is a major part of the whole development process, because we just can't go with the selection of a suitable lead compound and just develop it into a medicine, into a drug molecule. We need to find out that how they will just go, how the receptor and ligand will interact to each other. Okay, so these were the related tools Swiss talk when we talk about the ligand and receptor interaction, protein ligand docking server. And Click2Drug is again a directory where you can find various computational drug designing tools. Swiss EDME, because you need to go with the study of these pharmacokinetic properties. Okay, Swiss Param is helping us for the topology parameters for all for the small organic molecules. Then the ligand based virtual screening, because we need to screen out the possible ligands which will be suitable to get binded at the receptor site. So Swiss similarity is also helpful for that. And obviously target prediction, where we want to search out for a suitable target site, the suitable receptor site. So these are again a few selected ones which are working for the development of drugs. Okay, and this is actually, you can see these are the major fields, because I talked about there were those different methods of bioinformatics. But every method, because bioinformatics is having certain, every subject is having a defined application, so bioinformatics is having its own applications. So all these methods, they were being studied just to go through all those applications. And with the use of these bioinformatics tools, we can go with the study or analysis of different biological information. Okay, and if you go with the study of this particular subject, so the possibilities of being placed. Okay, so these are the major fields, because bioinformatics is the field if you're going with the study of all these methods. So obviously in the core companies in the area of bioinformatics, you will be definitely recruited. Okay, in biotechnology also, because again, as I told you, there are certain, when we are going with the analysis of data, statistical analysis, so these bioinformaticians, they are really helpful to go with such kind of data analysis. Okay, and obviously, for example, I told you there is a tool called Primer Blast. If I want to just go with the cloning of my DNA strand, so I can just go with the use of Primer Blast and produce my primers. Okay, then if I want to search out that how many what are those restriction enzymes that can help my DNA to get being cut and be divided into different segments, so I can just go with the use of this bioinformatics tool snap cutter. Okay, so somehow bioinformatics tools, they are really helpful in the field of biotechnology also. So biotechnology is one of the fields where you can be placed. Then pharmaceuticals and yes, clinical pharmacology, drug designing, drug development, these are different fields. And in different fields related to the drug only, you can be recruited easily if you go with the study of this branch called bioinformatics. Okay, biomedical, again, because we are going with the analysis of different computational tools, studying different structures, different chemical structures, the structure of proteins and nucleotides. So again, bioinformatics is playing a major role. And then because we talked about different algorithms. We have not talked in an elaborated manner for these algorithms, but bioinformatics developing these algorithms, going with the management of the databases. Okay, whether we are going with Lingelman algorithm or we are going with a BLAST algorithm. So developing these algorithms, going with programming languages like Perl, Python, BioPython, BioPerl. Okay, so all this comes under the role of bioinformatician only. So if you are going with the study of this particular branch, so you can be recruited on these subfields again, going with the programming and database management, going with the development of any algorithm or software development, and the field of artificial intelligence. Okay, so we had not discussed about that part, the artificial intelligence or the machine learning part, because see, whenever you're going with any kind of data study, if you're going with the study of, like for example, gene expression analysis, where you want to study that what amount of gene are being expressed, that amount of gene that had been converted into proteins. So for that, because that will definitely help you to understand that how the cell is working. If it is working at its normal metabolism, then the gene expression value will be at its threshold. If it is not working, if it is in its disease condition, then obviously the gene will be upregulated or downregulated condition. Okay, just telling you that how the gene is being overexpressed or underexpressed. Okay, so all this, going with the microarray data analysis, going with the study of gene expression analysis, we will go with the analysis of that data, any kind of data, whether it is microarray data or any genomic data or protein data. We can go with the data analysis. So starting with the raw data, producing the final data, the normalized data, and just producing the useful information, just mining the useful information from that particular data. It is all under artificial intelligence, under machine learning, where we use the supervised type of learning and unsupervised type of learning tools, going with classification or clustering tasks. Okay, so ANN and SVM, these are all under the classification tools, where we are just going with the discussion or with the analysis of our data, and it is based on any kind of training data, where it is being supervised, the data for which you want to go with the analysis, that is being supervised by some training data sets. Okay, so and on the other hand, there is this unsupervised type of learning methods, for which we can go with the discussion for biological data analysis using the clustering methodology. Okay, so all this is also again the role of bioinformatician. So you can also go in this particular field, where you can use these data mining tasks, how to use these data mining tools, and go with the analysis of different types of data, going with the statistical analysis and just retrieving the useful information from these data. Okay, so all this is there. And besides this, I had talked about the sequencing methods. We talked about the next generation sequencing. You had been told about Stinger and Max and Gilbert that you're doing in your wet lab experiments. But besides this, we are having NGS, we are going with whole genome sequencing. So sequencing, the field of sequencing is again very famous at recent times. And in the present scenario, many of the bioinformaticians, they are going in this particular field, going with the next generation sequencing and whole genome sequencing studies. So this is again one of the placement opportunities. You can just go for NGS processes, going with the data analysis of NGS, and you can be recruited as these following, like bioinformatics scientists, like the gene analyst, where you can go with the analysis of various genes, the genomic studies, then protein analysis. Okay, going with the study of these proteins and structure analysis, whether we are going with the structure analysis of proteins or the structure analysis of genes. Then obviously, with if you want to go with the study of these phylogenetic tree constructions, then bioinformaticians, they are recruited as the phylogenetist, where they are working with different species and how these species, they are connected to each other. Do they have similarity, or they are having any kind of common ancestry or not? So this is a kind of when a kind of a part of bioinformatics only, and people are recruited as a phylogenetist also. Okay, and then about the algorithms I told you. So all these tools which we are using, obviously they must be developed. So these software developers, they are also, these profiles are also there if you will be going with the course of bioinformatics. And computational biologists, again, where we are using the computational techniques and going with the study of these biological information. So the post is there, computational biologists, the research scientists, associates, database programmers, dealing with all the data, how to store it, and what about how to prepare the files and all that. So that is again one of the posts. And network administrators is statisticians, where we are going with the biostatics. Okay, and dealing with the chemical structures that is being connected to the medical sciences. So chemoinformaticians and the pharmacogeneticians, where they are dealing with how the effect of drug is being connected to the genetic material. So these are again a few profiles. If you are going with the study of bioinformatics, if you want to take bioinformatics as the future and want to just search out for career opportunities in this particular field, so these are the different profiles you can go with. And these are a few companies in India itself where you can search out for such kind of profiles as well. Like Agilent is famous, and Jubilant, then Lab Matrix, Mascon, Skew, Bioinformatics Institute of India, Acrylis is there, okay, Apticret, Aptitude, Biobase, Bioimagine, CLC, Cytogenomics. Okay, so all these companies, they are there, and they are recruiting the bioinformaticians for all the profiles which I have mentioned in the previous slides. So you can just choose this course, and you can just go with the discussion or the study of various tools, and you can be, I guess so, being recruited in any of these companies in future. Okay, so this was all about, because I wanted to just brief you about what is bioinformatics. Okay, and as I told you, it was a wrap-up session, so it was all about how we have just talked about the different tools and what are the different applications and what are the future prospects for these, with the use of these tools. What are the career opportunities if we go with the study of this particular curriculum, going with our bioinformatics. So this is all about. We can just start with the questions if you are having any kind of question.